Guys, a lot of you think that life in the US, once you come here as a student, is a piece of cake, but in a lot of ways it isn't. A little bit about myself before we get into the expectations versus reality. I've helped personally over 100,000 students study abroad. I'm sure if you've been watching my videos, you already know that. I personally also went to USC for my master's. I was in the Los Angeles region. I saw a lot of things that I want to share with you today in this video. So I have first-hand experience of studying and even dropping out of a US university. Remember, this endeavor is well worthwhile for most people out there. And I want to share some expectations that are somewhat incorrect as well. Number one is that when I was going to the US for the first time, my parents and all my relatives said, "Oh, yaar, wahan to Indian khana nahi milega yaar. You won't get Indian food over there. So what you have to do is you have to pack so much Indian food in your bag, right?" And as you may know, there's a limited amount of space in your bags. There's a limited number of bags you can carry. And if you stack that up with Indian food, those packages, those MTR packages of Indian food that you can just heat and eat, right? Those kinds of packages, well, you can do that potentially. But is it worth it? The answer is an absolute no. Everything is available. Yes, the cost may not be as low as within India. Maybe a little bit higher, 10, 15, 20%. But there are a lot of Indian stores where you can go ahead and get almost everything that I had packed up in my bag. So save that space in your bag and use it for something more useful. Number two is the struggle. We expect that life in the US is going to be luxurious, but it's anything but luxurious as a student because there's a major currency difference. And of course, the GDP difference also counts quite a lot. So what you're going to be experiencing for the first time in your life, even though you may come from a decent middle class family, is lack of money first off. And when you have a lack of money, your mind starts functioning in a completely different way. You may not have seen it, but it happens. It's an experience that you will have for yourself. I started sleeping without a pillow. I did not have one and I did not feel like investing in one. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna save those $5. I'm gonna sleep without it. Right? So these sorts of things happen. I convinced myself by reading online that it's better to sleep without a pillow for your spine. So I'm gonna do that, even though I did not enjoy it. You're also gonna face a lack of familial support. Right now, if you have your parents around, right, generally they support you with everything. There would be, maybe a servant who would be cleaning your dishes. There would be your mom doing your laundry, stuff like that. And emotional support also you get from your family. All of that goes away just like that. There's a lack of jobs. Not easy to get a job as an international student, first off. I'm not saying that you won't get it at all, but difficult to get, initially at least. And if you do get one, pay is generally quite low as compared to what they would have to pay Americans. It happens. Even if you're working on campus, it happens. You have very limited eligibility. You cannot work all kinds of jobs. There's a limited number of jobs you can work, and the employers know that. So they take advantage of that as well to some extent. Number three is relationships. I know a lot of you have seen a lot of things on Netflix and you imagine that, on weekends we're gonna go to the beach, we're gonna talk to all those women, and we'll be surrounded by one or two women at all times. Or the opposite for females, right? Not that easy. It is in fact quite easy to get lonely. You would have a culture shock of sorts, I can tell you that. And if you think that you may be very modernized, but if you think that just going ahead over there, you would have time for relationships with barely any money in your pocket, I would highly reconsider. And you would feel that by yourself as well. So yeah, it is certainly easy to get lonely and people try different sorts of things, but it's something that you have to be very emotionally and mentally strong about. Number four I'm going to talk about is roommates. Yes, very important, guys. So personally, I had 4 housemates. One was Indian, one was American, one was Vietnamese, one was Mexican. And in the same house, we had 2 main rooms, 2 bedrooms, and in my room there were 3 people including me, and the other room there were 2 people. So it was totally 5 people living in a house. Very diverse, I can tell you that. And it was a great experience. I learned a lot. It was quite amazing. I learned a lot about cooking from different regions of the world. I learned a lot about their cultures, which was very good. But there will be compromises. Remember that. Almost everyone as a student is low on money. Over time, you can expect certain arguments about splitting up money, that, oh, I did not want to do that, that's why I said this, and now you're asking me to split it, etc., etc. These things happen. And at that time, right, when you're low on money yourself, you don't want to let small things go. And it's perfectly normal. But having that experience of arguing with different cultures, I think it's a bit too much sometimes. Of course, I'm not saying that there are no good parts. In fact, 99% of the parts are good. But these things matter and you should expect them before you even go. Number 5, crime. We would think that there's almost no crime in the United States. It's much better, right? Especially in a region like Los Angeles, which is almost one of the most habited areas in the US. The answer is no. If you're traveling alone publicly, I would say be cautious because the beggars themselves can be very aggressive. Forget about the people who show you a gun or a knife and ask you for all of your cash. Even the beggars are very aggressive sometimes. So I would highly advise as a student, stay clear of unsafe regions, and things get stolen in the US as well. It's not that if you would just leave things out there, they would not be stolen. I can tell you for sure. I've seen personally my roommate's bike got stolen. A bicycle got stolen essentially. And these things are not cheap over there. It's quite expensive as compared to our country. And it's not like he did not put a lock. He put a lock. It was secure in between the campus. We were living on campus, and yet it got stolen. It was not found anywhere in the campus. So these things will happen. But are these 5 points enough to justify that that's my only expectations and the only things I learned? No, there's a lot more out there, guys. It's an experience of a lifetime, and you won't actually gain it unless you go there yourself. And the growth, it's actually insane. You will feel that. It's unexplainable, and no matter how much I try to make these videos, I would never be able to give you 100% of that. So go on to that journey. I think it's very well worth it. And these expectations, these help you grow. You come out a changed man or a changed woman, and you actually realize that this was one of the most important decisions that you have taken in your life. Personally, I would do it all over again. I hope you could relate to this video. If you could, share it with people who need to know, and subscribe to the channel for more such content. You can also connect with me on my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.